Guys, today I'm going to talk about certain misconceptions in the minds of people with respect to astrology. Several of you, including myself, when I was learning astrology, must have visited a couple of astrologers and shown our respective horoscopes to them, right? But there are times when astrologers end up making wrong predictions and they give wrong timeline about the events which might happen in the future. So we take their advice, we note down the predictions, and it doesn't turn out to be true. And because of that, we start blaming astrologers or the subject and science of astrology, and we start judging it and we stop believing it, right? And I thought that it's time that I share my ideas and views about this thing. So this is going to be very deep. This interaction about the misconception of astrology is going to be somewhat long, because I have to talk about various subjects, and also this is gonna change your perspective and change your opinion about the science of astrology. So if you're interested, watch this video till the end. If you're not interested, skip it or close this video and watch something else which will give you entertainment. But whatever you do, if you continue to watch it, then remember to subscribe to Purab's Astrology, because if you don't subscribe to Purab's Astrology, you will not be getting my updates and you will be missing out on amazing videos in future. So hey guys, what's up? I hope you guys are doing great and I welcome you back to Purab's Astrology. Let's get into the misconceptions about astrology and why we fail to understand the beautiful science of astrology and start judging it. So first, let me take a water break, because I have to balance my moon in my chart while I talk about such a multifaceted subject like astrology. The first thing is that whenever we visit an astrologer and we show our horoscope, and the astrologer makes a myriad predictions about our horoscope, and then based on the face value of the astrologer, because of the brand and because of the reputation that the astrologer has, we create a perception that if he is saying, then it ought to be right. Okay? And because of that, we end up noting down the predictions, recording the session, and then we wait and we try to see if the predictions are going right and it happens just the way it is supposed to happen. Okay. Now when time flies by and we see that whatever predictions that particular X or Y or Z astrologer has made is not getting true, we start to judge the subject of astrology itself. I will tell you certain aspects where predictions of astrologer goes wrong. Number one, there is a problem in your time of birth. So if you are not sure about your time of birth in your horoscope, and when you go and tell an approximate time of birth that okay, I was born between 7 a.m. and 7:15 a.m. so maybe I will say 7:10 a.m. is birth. So when you don't give the exact time, and if at that time the lagna is changing, the ascendant is changing from 29 degree Aries to Taurus, that is when you're in trouble. Because if the ascendant changes, the position of the planets will change, the houses will shift, and the predictions will go wrong. So now you have approximated a time and you have approached an astrologer and the predictions he's made is not matching. The second criteria is, there is a concept called Bhav Chalit chart. Okay, Bhav Chalit chart. And this Bhav Chalit chart actually shows you the actual position of the planets in your horoscope. That is, in which respective house the planet is actually posited and in which respective house result the planet is given. For example, if you have Jupiter placed in the 4th house in the sign of Cancer in your Lagna chart, but in the Bhav Chalit chart, if the same Jupiter is appearing to be in the 5th house, then during the Dasha, Antardasha and Mahadasha of Jupiter, you will be getting the results of the 5th house, not the 4th house. So because of the inefficiency or inalertness of the astrologer, he has not seen your Bhav Chalit chart, and in the Bhav Chalit chart 2, 3 or more than 3 planets are shifting houses. So he has made prediction of Venus in the 8th house, but actually Venus is in the 9th house. He has made prediction of Saturn in the 7th house, but Saturn is actually the 6th house. So Saturn will give you the results of the 6th house with the zodiac sign of the 7th house. So if Saturn is placed in the 7th house in the sign of Libra, but in the Bhav Chalit chart it is in the 6th house, then Saturn will give you the results of Saturn in the 6th house in the sign of Libra. So this is where we tend to make mistakes, and then we start judging that the science of astrology is wrong. The science of astrology can never go wrong. I can go wrong. Astrologers can go wrong, irrespective of whatever years of experience or whatever expertise and name, fame and reputation an astrologer has, depending on his own personal dasha antardasha. For example, if you come to me and I am running a Ketu sub-period, then because I myself am clueless and headless for a certain amount of time, Ketu will take away the power from me. So at that time, if I do predictions, then it will go wrong only. So I personally don't do predictions when I'm running Ketu. I time my predictions or consultations on such a time when I'm not running or not under the influence of Ketu. Clear? So if you are being given a wrong prediction, if you have been given predictions which are not matching at all, that means it is the inability of the astrologer to calculate properly, or it is the inability of you to give the exact time or location. Your facts are wrong, that is why the predictions are going wrong. Okay. Now, one more criteria. You have gone to an astrologer. Now this astrologer has given you fabulous predictions. Everything is matching. Whatever he's saying, that you lost your properties at this particular age, and then you got into a particular job at this particular age. So the predictions are perfect, but the remedies of the astrologers are not working. Why does this happen? That the predictions of the astrologer are perfectly fine, but the remedies of the astrologers are not working, because remedies is a very sensitive subject, guys, because remedy is making amendments and alteration with your karma, right? And there are certain astrologers who have read books on astrology and who have read Lal Kitab remedies, and they just take those remedies and they give it to people. For example, if you have a bad Ketu, they will tell you that, wear gold earrings and donate blankets to poor people for Ketu, get a dog home and do service to dog and things like that. So it does help, but the problem is if there is an aspect of Saturn in your 5th house or 9th house, the remedies get delayed, guys, because the 5th house is the mantras that we do, the 9th house is the blessing of the god, and I can also include the 12th house, the house of ancestors. So if Saturn is either placed in the 5th, 9th or 12th, or aspecting the 5th, 9th and 12th, then the remedies don't work. It gets delayed, and then we again start doubting the astrologer or his predictions. The next criteria is that, okay, the astrologer has given remedies, you have done the remedies and it is not working because it is the inability of the astrologer to take up the right remedy and give it to you. That is a way of giving remedies, because if you have a 6th house problem, then you have to do remedies for the 6th house also, and also you have to give strength to the Lord of the 5th house, because it is the loss house of the 6th house. So if the 5th house is Leo and the 6th house is Virgo, in the case of an Aries ascendant, of course, right? So whenever you're facing diseases or troubles, then first you have to do a 6-syllable Shatakshar mantra of any god, because the syllables take the energy of a particular house and give it to that particular house where the problem is. So if you do a 6-syllable mantra, then you're taking the energy of the ascendant, the Lagna, and you're giving it to your 6th house. So the energy of the 6th house is getting better and better. Also, you have to do a loss of the 6th house. For example, you have an afflicted 6th house. So to reduce the influence of the 6th house, you have to give power to your 5th house, which is the loss house of the 6th house. Similarly, if you have a 12th house problem, then you have to give power to your Lagna, right? The next thing is that there are certain truths about astrology which you need to know. For example, there are the Shodash Varga chart, the 16 divisional charts, okay? And in the Shodash Varga charts, the planet shifts houses and signs. You must have seen it, that Jupiter might be in Capricorn in the 10th house in your Lagna chart, but the same Jupiter is in the 4th house in Cancer sign in the Navamsha chart. This same Jupiter is in Scorpio in the 8th house in the Dwadashamsha, the D12 chart. This same Jupiter is in the 10th house in Leo in the Shashtiamsha chart. So this shows an extension of the characteristics of Jupiter, right, from your Lagna chart and in the inner areas of your life. Okay. So now, if somebody has recommended and asked you to wear a yellow sapphire to strengthen Jupiter, for example, and this Jupiter is debilitated in the Navamsha, this Jupiter is exalted in the Dashamsha, this Jupiter is in the 8th house in the Shashtiamsha, for example, what will happen is you will get the individual results of Jupiter in that particular area of life. So you will get the results of Jupiter according to its placement in the D9 chart. You will get the results of Jupiter exactly according to the placement in its D10 chart. If you will get the results of Jupiter according to the exact placement of Jupiter in the D60 chart and the D1 chart, the Lagna chart. So if Jupiter is in the 10th house in the D1 chart and it is in the 8th house in the, say, D9 chart, then you will see flourishment and you will see progress in the work field, the career area, but the married life, the Navamsha, will get compromised because Jupiter goes to the 8th, and the 8th house is the domain of Saturn because Saturn is the Karaka of the 8th house, right? So it's very easy to pass comments upon astrology, and astrology is such a fake science, it is not working. But I feel even I have not touched 1% of astrology. No astrologer has touched even 1% of astrology. It's the ego that inflates people and makes them believe that I know this much, I have 30 years of experience in astrology, and that is why I am the Sheikh Chili of astrology or something like that. Don't go behind brands, guys. Okay. When you visit an astrologer, be very specific that these are my questions. I want you to give answers to this. If you know, please say a yes. If you don't know, please say a no. But please give us clarity, right? What happens is when a person builds a brand as an astrologer in today's day and age, so people start flocking behind that particular person, and that person doesn't have time, right? So he cannot give 100% predictions, or he cannot do 100% justice to all the horoscopes, because he is a human being after all, and he has various moods, various mindsets. He is also controlled by the 9 planets. So one day when that same astrologer will be running Ketu, he will be giving disastrous and pathetic predictions. And one day when this same astrologer would be running, for example, say Jupiter period for a day or two, he will be giving fascinating results, predictions. The next point is that whenever you do something, there is something called Hora system, Hora chart. Okay. So every day, for example, Sunday, the first Hora between 5:30 to 6:30 comes under the control of Sun. Okay. The next Hora, the next day, Monday, the first Hora comes under the control of Moon. Okay. So whenever you are going to an astrologer, okay, find out first which are the signs falling in your 5th house, 9th house. The 5th house is Purva Punya and the house of mantras and divinity. The 9th house is also the house of God, goddesses, higher philosophy, religion, and gurus and the blessings of gurus. So if the Lord of the 5th house is Sun, then visit and consult an astrologer during Sun Hora. Okay. If the Lord of the 9th house is, say for example, Jupiter, then do a consultation, astrology consultation, during the Hora of the 9th Lord, which is Jupiter. If Saturn is the 9th Lord, then do an astrology consultation during the Hora of Saturn, right? So use this Hora system to do wonders. You can also use this Hora system to do wonders. For example, you are writing an email to your boss, or you are writing an email to an influential person. You can use Mercury Hora, Buddha Hora, to write that particular mail. You will see it will give you results. For example, you are trying to impress a girl and you are trying to propose a girl. Take Venus Hora. Okay. During Venus Hora, the energy of Venus is more, right? So use this system also. So astrology is very deep, guys, and if there is something wrong in the horoscope, that is because the time is not right or the astrologer is not right. Astrology can never go wrong. If astrology is wrong, then the sun will start rising from the west and start setting in the east. So astrology cannot go wrong, it cannot be false. Don't judge astrology, judge yourself for producing wrong information, wrong facts about your birth details, or judge the astrologer that he is incompetent and inefficient, but please don't disrespect the science of astrology, guys. I hope I have conveyed the message. If I have said something wrong, I am sorry for it. And if you think that I have pointed out certain astrologer, that's not the case. I have got nothing to do with the people. It's all about me and my subscribers and people who are interested truly about the science of astrology. So I love you all. Hit the like button if you liked this video. Hit the dislike button if I have wasted your time, and also give me comments. This is Purab signing off from Purab's Astrology. Adios. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat. Take care.